Fast and Furious tier list. I really enjoyed this franchise. I thought it was great from beginning to end. And yeah, let's begin with the tier list. Once it reaches a minute, and then we'll do the tier list. And man, these movies are a blast. I've yet to see Hobbs and Shaw. And I've only seen the main franchise, Fast 1 to Fast 8. And the story for these characters were pretty good. And none of these films are going to D. None of them. That's for sure. So we're almost to a minute. Now, alright. Let's begin with the first movie, The Fast and the Furious. It's a B tier. I really enjoyed this movie. Some action scenes were there, but it's still a good movie. They have a lot of great moments. The action scenes were pretty good. The relationship between Dominic Toretto and Brian O'Connor were pretty good. The villains, there were no villains in this film, so I wouldn't count Dominic Toretto as his own villain in the first movie, but he's a great guy. And Brian O'Connor knew he had a heart, and he trusted him, and yeah, that's why it's in the B tier. Too Fast, Too Furious. That's going in A tier. I really enjoyed this movie. It had a lot of great moments. Action scenes were pretty good. Story was pretty bland at the times, but it's still a great movie. Action was really fun to watch. I love Paul Walker in this film, and he did a best performance as Brian O'Connor, and the action was pretty good. The villain was the weakest part of the movie, but he was still there. We needed a villain for the movie, so yeah. So yeah, that's why it's in the A tier. I know people shit on this film, but I really don't get it. So yeah, that's why it's in the A tier. Next is Tokyo Drift. B. Tokyo Drift, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Tokyo Drift. But some scenes were, but the main character wasn't the weakest part of the film. They didn't brought Brian because he was the best part of like all these films. And he had a lot of great moments into this film. Oh, and then with this one, the main character in this one was so forgettable and so boring. And the villains were forgettable, and the action was pretty there, and the first race was pretty good. So yeah, that's why it's in the B tier. Fast and Furious, S tier. I really enjoyed this film. Action scenes were pretty good. The story was pretty good. They started getting into heist movies right after the original trilogy. This one takes it to a whole new level. It's a fun action movie from beginning to end. I do love the relationship between Brian and Dom. That was pretty well done as well. And the final battle was pretty boring at the time, but it's still a great final battle. And the villain was pretty, like, was he weak? Yeah, I think he was weak. And yeah, that's why it's in the S tier. And plus, the FBI involvement of all these films, I did not really care for. Fast 5. S tier. I really enjoyed Fast 5. It was a great movie from beginning to end. I really enjoyed this movie. Had a lot of great action scenes. Villains were good. Story was good. I loved it how it's a runaway movie. Some villains can be forgettable, but The Rock is funny in this movie, of course. The main villain was. I love the chasing with this ball. That was pretty funny. The ending was pretty great, and yeah, that's why Fast 5 is in the S tier. So let's hang on a sec. We'll talk for a little bit. All right, before I give you my top 3 tier. How has your guys been doing? My videos hasn't gotten a lot of views. They used to be. Please help me out. I want more I need more views. And I don't know why you don't. Why am I getting less views? I don't know why, but I need more views. So help me, please. And yeah, let's continue. Alright, next is Fast and Furious 6. S tier. I really enjoyed this film. Had a lot of great moments. Action scenes were pretty good. The villain was pretty good. The final battle was pretty awesome. With The Rock and Vin Diesel fighting the main villain in the film. One of the villains in the film, and they kicked his butt out of the plane. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. And the ending was pretty good. And I also like the relationship between Dom and Brian in this film as well. Thought it was pretty amazing in this film. And yeah, that's why it's in the S tier. Furious 7. S tier. Furious 7 is the best ending to Brian O'Connor. Rest in peace, Paul Walker. I really enjoyed this film. Action scenes were pretty good. The villain was the weakest part of the film, but the action scenes were amazing. And the main villain was the weakest part. I mentioned that, but I did not like the main villain in this film. But the movie, it's my favorite from the Fast and Furious franchise, and the ending was so amazing. Man, that song "See You Again." Man, I wish I could sing it, but I can't. I'll get copyrighted. And yeah, that's why Fast and Furious 7 is in the S tier. And we got Fast and Furious 8, Fate of the Furious, C. Fate of the Furious, I don't hate it. It's the weakest Fast and Furious film in my opinion. The action was barely there. The main villain was horrible, the worst villain in the entire franchise actually. And the action scenes is barely there. The story was, some elements of the story was boring and bland. Like 4 sits, 5 sits, and 7, and the ending was pretty good. I really enjoyed the ending, and yeah, that's why it's in the C tier. Alright guys, so this is going to be it for this video guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. See ya in the next one.